Hey, welcome to Rise and Grow Stories. My name is Tom, and I'm really glad you're here today because we're talking about something almost everyone struggles with, overthinking. You know that feeling, right? Your body is tired, your eyes are heavy, but your mind just refuses to stop. You replay conversations from 3 years ago, you imagine problems that haven't even happened yet, you argue with people in your head, and at the end, you feel exhausted without doing anything. Today, I want to tell you a simple story about someone who lived inside their own head for a long time and how they slowly learned to step out of it. Let's call him Alex. Alex was the overthinking type. At least that's what he believed. He overthought before sending a message. He overthought after sending a message. He overthought before making a decision. He overthought after making a decision. He wanted his life to move forward, but every time he was about to act, a voice in his head whispered, "What if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if you regret this later?" So, most of the time, he didn't act. He waited, he analyzed, he tried to find the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect decision. Days passed, weeks passed, months passed, and his life stayed almost exactly the same. On the outside, everything looked okay. He went to work, he replied to messages, he smiled in photos. But on the inside, he was stuck in a loop. Think, worry, doubt. Think, worry, doubt. Repeat. One day, Alex was sitting in a small cafe, staring at his phone. He had a message written out to a friend he hadn't talked to in a year. It said, "Hey, it's been a long time. I was thinking about you. How have you been?" Very simple, very normal. His thumb was right above the send button, but then that familiar voice appeared again. What if they think it's weird? What if they don't remember you? What if they ignore you? So he didn't send it. He just sat there, screen glowing, heart beating faster over one simple message. The waiter walked by, saw his face, and said, "Rough day?" Alex looked up, a little surprised, and laughed nervously. "Yeah, something like that." The waiter smiled and said, "You know, sometimes the worst things only happen in here," and tapped gently on his own head. Then he walked away. It was such a small moment, but that sentence stayed with Alex. Sometimes the worst things only happen in here. That night, lying in bed, Alex noticed something. Almost everything he was afraid of was happening only in his mind. In reality, he hadn't been rejected. He hadn't failed yet. Nobody had actually said anything bad. All the pain was coming from imaginary movies playing non-stop in his head. He asked himself a simple question. What if my thoughts are just stories, not facts, just stories? That question didn't magically cure his overthinking, but it opened a tiny door. Once again, Alex was staring at that same unsent message to his friend. The same fear was there. The same what-ifs were there. But this time, he remembered the waiter's words. Sometimes the worst things only happen in here. And he told himself, right now, I'm suffering from a conversation that doesn't even exist. I'm afraid of a reaction that hasn't even happened. So he took a deep breath and pressed send. Nothing exploded. The world didn't end. Nobody laughed. A few hours later, his phone buzzed. "Hey, wow, it's so good to hear from you. I was just thinking about you too. Want to catch up sometime?" Alex smiled. It was such a small action, but it felt like he had broken a wall. Here's the truth. Overthinking doesn't disappear in one day. It's a habit, a very strong habit. But habits can be changed. So Alex started a tiny experiment. Every time he noticed he was stuck in his head, he asked himself 3 questions. 1. Is this really happening, or is it just in my head? 2. Do I have proof, or is this just a story I'm telling myself? 3. What is one small action I can take right now? When he was afraid to send a message, he asked the 3 questions and then sent it anyway. When he was scared to apply for a job, he asked the 3 questions and then spent just 5 minutes updating his CV. When he felt stuck in a spiral of what-ifs at night, he wrote down the thoughts on paper and chose one small action for the next day. Slowly, something interesting happened. His brain learned a new pattern. Think, notice, act. Instead of think, worry, freeze. Maybe you recognize yourself in Alex. Maybe you also live in your head too much. Maybe you've lost hours, days, even months overthinking. What people think of you, what might go wrong, what you did wrong in the past. If that's you, I want you to remember this. Your thoughts are not always the truth. They are often just stories, and you are the storyteller. That means you can change the story. You don't have to wait until your mind is perfectly quiet. You don't have to wait until you have zero fear. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. Often, action is what brings clarity, not the other way around. You move first, confidence comes later. So, I want to leave you with a tiny challenge today. Not a big life change, not a huge brave decision, just one small, concrete action. Think of something you've been overthinking about. A message you want to send, a call you want to make, a project you want to start, a decision you keep postponing. Got it? Now ask yourself the 3 questions Alex used. 1. Is this really happening or just in my head? 2. Do I have proof or is this just a story? 3. What is one small action I can take right now? Then your job is simple. That one small action, do it today, not tomorrow. Send the message, write the first sentence, search for that one piece of information, spend just 5 minutes moving forward. Not 1 hour, not a perfect plan, just 5 honest minutes. Because the goal is not to live without any fear or doubt. The goal is to move anyway, even with fear. Overthinking may still knock on your door. Sometimes it will still sit down in your mind and talk loudly. But now, you don't have to believe everything it says. You can say, "Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me, but I'm going to act anyway." Step by step, message by message, day by day. And one day, you'll look back and realize your life didn't change because you found the perfect plan. It changed because even while overthinking, you started taking small, imperfect actions. Thank you for listening to Rise and Grow Stories. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who also lives too much in their head. And remember, you don't have to control every thought. You just have to choose your next small action. I'm proud of you for being here. See you in the next story. Thank you for listening to Rise and Grow Stories. I'm Tom, and I'm proud of you for being here today. See you in the next episode.